So after the release of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sonic Team were looking into jumping into the third dimensions. Video games were heading into a completely different direction around that time. The Sega Saturn, home to more obscure Sonic games, 2 attempts at different styles of gameplay, and a mediocre racing game that's fun for like 15 minutes, Sonic was itching to get his foot into the 3D space. Now I'm not gonna say that one line that everyone keeps repeating about this blue rodent, as I'm gonna blow my own damn brains out if I hear that phrase one more time, but I can't disagree with the sentiment that's shared. I low-key just backed myself into a corner. Sonic's transition to 3D wasn't great. Man, I'm officially a Sonic YouTuber. That's crazy. Competing with Nintendo Super Mario 64, Sonic had a huge impression to make here. Mario had already made his jump into the 3D space 2 years prior into critical acclaim, and everyone was waiting for Sonic to make his jump into 3D. Now, this isn't his first jab at a 3D game. Sonic's first attempt at a 3D game was a cancelled Saturn game called Sonic Extreme, and honestly,
if I had a nickel for every time I was doomed by a puppet, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
Now my mentions of the previous attempts at 3D games we're not going to address here in this video, but the context is needed for why everyone has the sentiment about Sonic's transition to 3D being so rough. After the release and commercial failure of the Sega Saturn, Sega really had about one more time to get it right, so they started production on the Sega Dreamcast not too long after. Not only did they start developing their console after Nintendo had already launched and released their brand new console with a brand new Mario game a year prior, but Nintendo had a year's worth of games on their system, whereas Sonic was throwing all of their eggs in one basket. And to be honest, I really can't tell you what was going on. I literally wasn't alive back then. I'm just going based off the reviews I remember watching back in the day and word of mouth from older siblings, and that one Dreamcast commercial that everyone vividly remembers.
Man, stay off the light speed.
My bad.
I hope you guys were excited because I legit was not alive to be there, so my hype and experience for this game was on a cracked PC port on a family laptop back in like 2010. If you're a real OG of my channel, you would actually know that some of my older Sonic Adventure Let's Play videos were up on my channel for the longest time, and I was using the PC version of that game. So I did low-key try to start my channel with a Let's Play of Sonic Adventure on the PC, so it comes full circle that I can finally talk about this game knowing what I'm doing on a gaming PC. Now, is there anything new? No, I'm pretty sure you've seen plenty of reviews on Sonic Adventure, so what's different about mine? Well, like I said, most people were alive to understand this game's pre-release and how old they were before this game came out. I do not have that same experience, and considering I played this game after Sonic Adventure 2, I have this weird history with this game. Yes, this game has a really big soft spot for me, but in my eyes, this game definitely has not aged well, in my opinion. This game is still a blast, but again, Sonic's transition to 3D wasn't the best. What they got right, but what they didn't is a pretty big freaking stinker when it comes to gameplay, so there's a reason why people want to go back to the adventure style of gameplay. Even though people are finally warming up to the boost style of gameplay after damn near 15 years, coming back to the adventure style games are like comfort food. I don't want to compare these games to fast food because ultimately when it comes down to these games, I will sit down and play them in one sitting to really enjoy myself and then not touch them again for like 6 months to a year. Like when I was figuring out the best ways to play these games on PC, shout out Blaze Hedgehog for the definitive versions to play these games. This game is monumental. I'm not trying to take away from its impression and how good it was back in the day, but nowadays, unless you're playing like the first 3 stories, yeah, this game isn't all that great. The Sega Saturn was indeed a little bump in the road, and things were looking to get better. And after this game, we got Sonic Adventure 2, but then they proceeded to drop out of the console market, and yeah, we'll get there when we get there. But for now, that's enough for my yapping about the history of this game and what I know about the pre-release. This game came out in December 23rd, Japan 1998, and the latter half of 1999 for everyone else. Before we get started, let's introduce the cast and crew. Obviously, our main trio is here, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, but now we have 3 new playable characters. Amy Rose returning from her debut game in Sonic CD, E102 Gamma, one of Eggman's robots, and
Big the cat.
a voluptuous purple cat who keeps losing his pet frog. Also, one more time, this is my first time trying to do something like this. I know I was able to do something like this in Zero Gravity in part of my Sonic Riders video, but I know that game like the back of my hand. Anyway, moving on. Starting in the present day, Dr. Robotnik makes his way back to Angel Island after finding out about this water deity named Chaos. Now, how did Eggman find this out? No clue. We do indeed learn of Chaos and its backstory through flashbacks throughout the character's various stories, and it's not until later until Eggman explains how he found out about this thing, so let's just save that for later. Anyway, after using
My floating masterpiece, the egg carrier.
To shatter the Master Emerald, Chaos, the creature I just mentioned, emerges from the Master Emerald along with this reddish orb that was along the emerald with Chaos. Knuckles is nearby, as this was before they forgot he was the protector of this thing, and he starts to fight Chaos. But before he starts to get any damage in, Angel Island starts to fall. Just like in Sonic 3, the island crash lands in the water, but this time it lands next to this jungle, which we then find out to be the Mystic Ruins. Somewhere in those same ruins, we find a newcomer, Big the Cat, and his pet Froggy. Startled by the crashed island, the frog starts jumping around. That's when Chaos appears and does something to this frog which we're not going to show on camera, which gives the a tail. He also swallowed a Chaos Emerald. I thought you should know that, maybe that's important. Later that same night, presumably, Sonic is hopping around buildings like he owns the place, where he then spots police cars frantically chasing something. Channeling his inner Peter Parker, Sonic goes to check out the scene, where Sonic then encounters the creature from the Master Emerald Shrine and proceeds to fight it. After the fight, it retreats into the sewers, and Dr. Robotnik stands on top of a nearby building to give more exposition before we move on.
You know nothing, fool! It's Chaos, the god of destruction!
The next morning, Tails is trying out his new plane, and it goes hilariously wrong, which is insane. I mean, you had a plane that could fly in space? What happened? Okay. Sonic, snoozing around at the speed of sound, wakes up to catch the fox in his moment of glory before making one of the ugliest faces in gaming history. No, seriously, what the fuck is the—
Oh! He needs some milk!
Sonic heads off and saves his yellow friend, and we get an explanation of how and why Tails messed up so badly here.
Hey, Sonic! Long time no see, huh?
I'm just glad you're okay. What happened anyway? You're too good of a pilot to just crash like that.
That was a test run using a new prototype propulsion system. It's got a few bugs to iron out.
Why not just use my plane, the Tornado?
Thanks, but you gotta check out my newest power supply. Ta-da!
Whoa! A Chaos Emerald!
Yep, I just happened to find one of the 7 emeralds during one of my test flights. This thing's got unlimited power, you know. So I figured, why not use it to power my plane? Supercharge! You gotta come over to my workshop, Sonic. I've got something I've gotta show you. It's in the Mystic Ruins. The fastest way is by train. Let's go!
After Tails excitedly yaps about what he's been doing to Sonic, they both head to his workstation in the Mystic Ruins, where they run into Eggman.
Look! It's a giant talking egg!
Silence! I am Dr. Robotnik.
Eggman tells Sonic about his plan and how he needs the Chaos Emeralds, and of course the heroes do not capitulate. Eggman brings out his Egg Hornet mech in an attempt of getting the emeralds out of the heroes, but after promptly spamming the A button, at least if you're playing as Sonic, Eggman goes down without question. Tails, being a dumbass, walks towards Sonic with the emeralds in his hand, giving Eggman the opportunity to grab the emerald. Tails, I thought you were smarter than that, you dumbass. Eggman calls for chaos and Sonic recalls the monster from the previous night. Eggman tossing the emerald right into the thing and saying he learned this thing would evolve with each emerald from stone tablets, which also explains how he knows about chaos in the first place. But like, how did Eggman even get the idea to even look where he was even looking? Where was his motives? Man, the amount of questions I had. Anyways, Eggman smoke bombs out of there, and Tails tells Sonic it's best for the two of them to find more emeralds before Eggman does. Sonic and Tails make their way to Windy Valley to find another Chaos Emerald. How did they know one was gonna, I don't know, just play the damn game? While Sonic and Tails are going through Windy Valley, Knuckles makes his way to his first action stage, Speed Highway, to start his journey of collecting the Master Emerald pieces. Completing their stroll from Windy Valley, Sonic and Tails make their way to the casino to somehow find another Chaos Emerald after gambling for...
Yeah, not bad.
And Sonic and Tails run into Dr. Robotnik yet again. Eggman uses knockout gas to knock out Sonic and Tails to grab the emerald, and I can only think about why Eggman didn't do that the first time he saw them. While Sonic and Tails were knocked out, Knuckles makes his way to the casino to continue his quest. Knuckles collects the pieces in the casino, and then that red orb we saw at the beginning of the game takes the red mutt into the past to give him some lore about his history.
Father, please don't!
Tickle, the 7 emeralds are essential to our survival. It is for the good of all our people.
How can I make you understand? Attacking other countries, stealing and killing can't be the right path to peace. No one has the right to take their holy grounds. I beg you, Father.
Knuckles then gets teleported outside of the casino. What in God's green earth? Knuckles spots Sonic and Tails under the effects of the knockout gas, but knowing he has another goal, he books it to his next location. He spots Eggman in the hotel heading towards an elevator with something in his hand, but us in retrospect know it's a Chaos Emerald because, well, we just saw it happen. Plus, you have to play through Sonic's story to unlock Knuckles anyway, and they don't meet formally until after this point in time. Knuckles catches up with Robotnik and hits the coldest reverse moonwalk in his life. Eggman uses the Chaos Emerald he took from Sonic and Tails to evolve Chaos to fight Knuckles, and Knuckles makes quick work of him. Eggman is somehow able to trick Knuckles about the intentions of Sonic again, making him seek out Sonic under the impression that Sonic is looking for the Master Emerald pieces, even though he just saw them knocked out outside. Double whammy being outside the same building Eggman just walked into. You mean to tell me that after the whole events of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you have good and will enough trust to trust this Tubalard again, you stupid mutt? Sonic and Tails wake up from their memes to continue to look for more emeralds, but on the flip side, Eggman heads back to one of his bases to activate a new robot of his, E102 Gamma, the second model of his E100 series of robots. Eggman directs Gamma to go through his first action stage, Final Egg, to get to his older brother, E101 Beta. But while all that's going on, Sonic and Tails make their way to and from Ice Cap to find another emerald. Knuckles is still sitting up here wondering why Sonic needs the pieces of the Master Emerald, but then Knuckles shakes that off and goes to find more pieces of the emerald himself. After he's done with his Red Mountain stage, they all meet in the Mystic Fields after they're done with their respective stages, and Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles all duke it out because Knuckles can't do any critical thinking for himself.
What's up, Knuckles? Something bugging you? No time for games, Sonic. Give me the emeralds you have, right now! What? Let's just see you take them, huh?
Oh no. Oh no. Give it. Oh no.
Oh no! The Chaos Emeralds!
Robotnik comes out of completely nowhere to take the emeralds from them again, and Sonic calls out Knuckles for being tricked, and Knuckles says this bullshit.
Me? What about you?
Eggman calls for Chaos in the most seductive way I've ever heard,
Chaos!
and he uses those emeralds to evolve Chaos into his Chaos 4 state. And you have to fight this boss with all 3 characters in all respective stories. I hope you understand why I'm doing the story chronologically like this instead of going story by story, because who thought this was a good idea? Sonic and Tails make their way to give chase to Dr. Robotnik, and Knuckles stays back because he still has more Master Emerald pieces to collect. And honestly, I just think he's embarrassed because no way you got tricked 2 times in a row like that. Sonic and Tails make their way back to Tails' workshop, where Tails introduces a new biplane, the Tornado 2. Sonic is impressed, but like, I mean, it's Tails, he was gonna make a plane anyway, but the 2 of them fly off to catch the egg carrier. Now, because you play as Sonic and Tails in this game, remember, they have different stories. You're not gonna play this game mode not once, not twice, but 4 different times because there are too many games per story. Again, replaying this game is not very pleasant. Tails just had to say something about it being so far so good, and Eggman took that very personally because he shot these 2 motherfuckers out of the sky so fast it makes me wonder why he didn't do that the minute he first saw them. The next character that inserts himself into the story around this time is Amy Rose. Amy is doing her little thing reminiscing about the fact that she keeps getting kidnapped. I'm going to assume she has Stockholm Syndrome and she enjoys this type of thing. Eggman launches his egg carrier and he makes his way back to the city, and Amy gets smacked in the head by this bird, and with great power comes great I have to take care of this bird. Another one of Eggman's robots falls from the sky, codenamed Zero, and he starts chasing Amy. Back to Sonic and Tails. From here the 2 get separated and Sonic lands back in Station Square, where he then meets up with Amy. Amy forcefully volunteers his time to be the guardian guardian of the bird that knocked into her at the beginning of the story, and says Sonic no and swiftly runs away. Amy, being Amy, follows him, meeting up with the blue bird in front of Twinkle Park. Eggman's robot spawns in out of completely nowhere and he starts chasing the hedgehogs. But Amy, being Amy, notices the love sign on Twinkle Park and runs inside. Sonic, being Sonic, has to go grab her from inside obviously, and while all of this is happening, Knuckles found himself in the temple in the middle of the Mystic Ruins. After completing this action stage, Tikal, yes, her is this, comes out of nowhere to take Knuckles into the past for more lore. I hope you guys remember Big because they finally remember to put him in the game. He makes his way to Station Square after all of that, and he just remembers that he lost his frog and he needs to catch him still. He catches the little motherfucker hopping towards the sewer and he gives chase, being strong enough to lift this car. What is the power scaling in this universe? I feel like this is something Knuckles should be doing. Anyway, after a quick trip in the sewer, he makes his way to Twinkle Park, and let's just get this out of the way right now. Big's story consists of one thing and one thing only: fishing. In my Sonic game, it was the 90s, I can't be too mad. Big's story isn't that long. As a matter of fact, you're gonna get the bulk of your time with the main trio, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. They have the longest stories, and I hear Big was only added to show off the technological capabilities of the Dreamcast, but like, did they need to do that? It was a launch title, I guess. It's just the inconsistency, bro. Like, every other character at least has like super fun and fast paced, except for you, Amy, action stages, and then you just fish with this guy. You just sit down and fish. You are so lucky they redeemed you in Frontiers, bro, because to get through Big stages, you must fish for his friend Froggy, obviously, in his various action stages: Twinkle Park, Ice Cap, Emerald Coast, and Hot Shelter. Jesus, Big has more stages than Amy. I just noticed that. So what you're supposed to do is hold the action button to cast your line out, and you have to try your best to get the frog to come to you. Now the hardest part is reeling the motherfucker in, because you can't just hold the button because there's a potential for your line to break, which will cost you a life. Who designed this? Now, I personally know of a strategy to get that to not work, and I'll link where I got it from somewhere in the description. Anyway, you just kind of like rotate your control stick the entire time while you're reeling it in, and while annoying, it seems to work. It worked almost every time I did it, so go off, I guess. Yeah, just another way for Sonic to f your analog stick, so you can't just blame Sonic Riders for this one. And yeah, while this method personally works for me, that doesn't make these stages any more fun to play. Big is just a huge time stopper, or I can't even think of a better word to say. I just don't want to talk about him right now. Move on. Tails catches himself waking up in the Mystic Ruins after a flashback about how he met Sonic for the first time, and this is when Tails starts to really lock in, figuring out what he needs to make his pain not go boom. He makes his way to the deeper side of the Mystic Ruins, where Bro finds a Chaos Emerald, and Surprise Frog comes out of nowhere and eats the emerald. This motherfucker now has 2 Chaos Emeralds in him. You'd think that would do something to his bodily anatomy, but it's a game for kids. It's a game for kids. Tails retrieves the frog, and then Tikal shows up yet again to include some more lore into our favorite fox.
The servers are the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Hello there, friend. How are you?
What were you saying before?
Huh. It's something my grandmother taught me. I'm never to forget it. It goes like this. The servers are the 7 Chaos. Chaos is power, power enriched by the heart. The controller is the one that unifies the chaos. But I'm still not sure what it all means. But the number 7 is the same as the number of emeralds there are.
Emeralds?
Forgive me, but I don't think we've ever met before. I'm Tikal, and you are?
In the middle of the flashback, it starts to become too realistic and Tails rakes up from it. Big finds Tails holding Froggy and gives chase, but because of his big goofy eye, he trips and falls right in front of Tails, causing him to startle and drop the frog, causing it to get loose. Tails manages to retrieve the red Chaos Emerald that was inside the frog, but not the yellow one. Okay. He goes back to his workshop where he then goes to work on his new biplane. Sonic, remember him? Yeah, the game's about Sonic. Yeah, Sonic, after running around Twinkle Park, couldn't find Amy and just assumed that the robot got to her, so it's time for him to go look for Amy. Sonic runs through Speed Highway and unfortunately doesn't find her there, which means Sonic had enough time to run through Twinkle Park and Speed Highway before Amy even made it out of Twinkle Park. That's hilarious. Amy steps out of the elevator after her action stage and almost immediately gets kidnapped. We have a whole game of that coming up. Sonic finishes his action stages and he starts to wonder where the fuck Amy is. He hears her screaming in the hands of the robot on the train tracks headed to the Mystic Ruins, so Sonic gives chase, which, let's be real, depending on how long it takes the nigga to get to the Mystic Ruins, he's in a tunnel. The train should have hit the it's a game. Sonic catches up with the robot and Amy in the Mystic Ruins, but before Sonic is able to do anything, Eggman shows up above him in his egg carrier, dragging them both of them up with his energy beam. And I've always wondered, even when I was little, why Sonic just didn't stand in the beam with them to just beam up into the ship with them. I'm telling you, Sonic in the early 90s and 2000s wasn't necessarily smart.
I beg of you, hear me now. My father is coming here soon, and I fear what may happen. You must take everyone away from here. Oh, please. So, are you saying you can't leave this place? I understand. Let me talk to my father again. There must be a better way to do this. Don't worry, my friends. I won't let you down. I must do something quickly.
And Knuckles gets teleported back in front of the Master Emerald Shrine. He puts the pieces that he does have back into the Master Emerald and it shows him where to find the rest of the pieces. And conveniently, it's on Eggman's battleship. Even more conveniently, an Eggman robot, that being E123 Omega, falls out of the sky, so he chases that robot. Big the Cat noticing his frog going towards Emerald Coast, so that's where he goes to find his frog, not knowing that an Eggman robot was just issued to go there. E102 Gamma finds Big as soon as he gets his pet frog and runs off with it, indicting the funniest cutscene in the entire game.
Froggy? Uh-oh. No! Hold on there! Come back, please! Give me my friend back! I'm begging you, please!
Tikal then pulls E102 Gamma into the spirit dimension for more backstory, elaborating on these little creatures called Chow and their soul called Great Protector. And if we look at Chaos, he low-key looks like one, but in a mutated way, made of nothing but water. After Eggman yoinks Zero and Amy from us, Sonic makes his way through his next stage, Red Mountain, to chase the egg carrier, while Tails, using the Chaos Emerald he got from Froggy, implementing it into his next plane, the Tornado Mark II. I think I called the Tornado 1 the Tornado 2 earlier in this video, and I'm super sorry about that. Tails catches up with Sonic at the back end of the mountain where they both spot the egg carrier and they give chase one more time. E102 Gamma makes his way back to the doctor, bringing him the frog, and Gamma gets his praise from the doctor, unintentionally causing the rest of his crewmates to get Thanos snapped out of existence.
All you worthless hunks of junk, be gone!
Holy
shit, that's dark. Eggman orders Gamma to go retrieve the bird from Amy that's locked in the other room. But in a forced cutscene that makes you go into the wrong door, we see that Eggman is indeed working on E101 Beta, which Gamma doesn't take too lightly. After that traumatic event for this poor robot, he goes to do his mission. Later we find out it was the birds, his parents were in this thing, but Amy was able to make the robot turn a new cheek, and I still have yet to understand, was it Amy that did this or the bird? We later find out that its parents were in this thing, but like, yeah, was it the bird or... Okay. Amy makes her way through the hot shoulder, but she has to continue evading the Zero robot. Sonic and Tails finally make their way on top of the egg carrier after crash landing because this dumbass fox forgot to put a landing gear in his transformation mode. Eggman notices the two and ironically switches on battle mode for his ship.
Oh, wow! It's changed shape! Did you see that?
Really, nigga?
Eggman gives them direct instructions on how to reach them, completely forgetting that these pests won't stop showing up. Amy finishes her hot shelter stage, and then Takal drags Amy into the spirit dimension. This time it seems to be for no apparent reason, because we don't really get to see anything. In this cutscene we start to see chaos emerge from the water, and then the cutscene just ends? I don't know, this one was always a little weird to me. Sonic and Tails go through their next action stage, Sky Deck, as offered by Eggman, and then Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and E102 Gamma make their way to the bridge of the ship where they all confront each other, and Sonic and Tails fight E102 Gamma, only stopping because Amy pleaded not to. I'm telling you, she has Stockholm Syndrome. I don't know what... Amy has a whole lot of trust in people. I understand that he was the thing that freed Amy out the cell, but I don't know. If it was me, I would have kicked that nigga off the ship. Sonic's trust in Amy goes a little too deep. I ain't gonna lie. Yo, it's Big. Remember this guy? So while all of that just happened, Big is still inside the egg carrier looking for his frog. He goes through his last and final stage, Hot Shelter, and after he finds his frog, Takal comes out of nowhere to pull him into the spirit dimension for, you guessed it, more lore.
Is it alright for me to be here? So do you trust me? So these are the 7 emeralds. Could it be? The servers are the 7 Chaos Emeralds, unified by one that is the controller. The 7 Chaos... the controller itself. Could this be the emerald that controls the 7 Chaos?
In the midst of the gang arguing about what to do about the distraught robot, Knuckles is going through his version of Sky Deck to find the remaining pieces of the emerald. It just hit me that the reason the ship started losing altitude was because of this stage right here. Knuckles is fucking around with the ship's control to make finding the emeralds easier, ultimately throwing the ship off balance that it just starts going down. Why did it take me so long to realize that? After Knuckles grabs his emerald from the Sky Deck, Tails and Amy make their way off the ship, while Sonic stays back to change the ship back into its original form so he can confront Eggman. Knuckles is then pulled into the spirit dimension one more time to find everything on fire. He asked what the hell happened, and Takal,
Hey, what happened here?
I couldn't stop them. They came, and my father... I had no idea how bad this would turn out. I'm shocked.
Look! It's the emerald! Wait!
In 1998, they would have called this foreshadowing. Nowadays, I just call this bad writing. Sonic manages to switch the ship back to its original form. Big is able to escape, but unfortunately, he gets confronted by Chaos and Eggman. Chaos using his energy to suck the emerald out of the frog. How is he able to do that? I'm gonna assume it's the same thing that allowed Dark Guy to do this. Apparently it's possessed by the tail it has, so it just jumps straight into the thing, and it gives Chaos a tail while losing his. Now we have to fight Chaos 6 with Big the Cat, but all he wants is his frog, so literally after yoinking his frog out of there, he skedaddles so fast out of there, it makes me wonder why he was even in the game to begin with. Sonic stays back and fights Chaos 6, and unfortunately, you have to fight him again with Knuckles. I want to say it's the case of both characters being there at the same time, but at least Knuckles has a cutscene explaining that he just kind of grew back, and it is a little harder because you have less real estate to walk around, but at the same time, Knuckles genuinely had no reason to fight this thing, but you know, go off. And I guess in between the time it took them to have a conversation, he came back. I don't know. Sonic jumps after Robotnik while Knuckles fights the thing, and Knuckles jumps off the ship right after as it starts to go down. Sonic lands in the Mystic Ruins and then gets guided to the temple by Tikal, basically telling him to go check it out. And I have so many questions that, you know what, Sonic runs through the temple and finds a mural of perfect chaos, the complete form of the monster we've been chasing throughout this entire game. This is what the thing looks like when he's powered up with all 7 Chaos Emeralds. Tikal shows up and drags Sonic into the spirit dimension for more lore, but as this one isn't as important, we can move on. Tails and Amy make their way back to Station Square, and Tails spots Eggman crashing on his neck.
That's Eggman! I wonder what happened to Sonic.
Eggman is pissed. He starts to tweak the absolute f out, branding a missile to destroy the city, which fortunately turns out to be a dud. My thing is, how fast is Amy? How does Amy not see? Amy was literally right behind Tails. There's no way she didn't see this. E102 Gamma, hey, remember this guy? While flying back down to the Mystic Ruin, he realizes his friends are all trapped in those robots and he vows to go destroy them all. Tails chases Eggman through Speed Highway to stop him from getting to the missile and blowing up the city, while Amy makes her way back to the Mystic Ruins to see if she can figure out the story of this bird. Eggman is getting more and more pissed off that Tails of all people is the one fumbling his plan, so he brands the Eggwalker to destroy him and everyone around the city, which Tails properly destroys. And that's the end of Tails' part of the story. Amy finds Eggman's base in the Mystic Ruins and goes through her version of Final Egg, but not after getting jump scared by Zero again. Amy escaped and she's able to get away, but soon after, Sonic notices Eggman flying near the temple, so he gives chase, and that leads to his version of Final Egg. Eggman and Sonic fight one more time in his Egg Viper before losing hilariously and Sonic going to meet back up with Tails. E102 Gamma, after going through his adventure, completing Hot Shelter and destroying the last of his brothers, he notices E102 Beta in his new form. He gives chase and fights Big Bro, but back on the ground, Eggman is on the ground tweaking yet again. But he comes to solace when he sees Chaos right in front of him. After Gamma scraps his older brother, as he's walking close to the robot to check on him, he pulls the cheapest cheap shot in the history of cheap shots, but it starts to make sense when you realize one of the bird's parents were stuck in there. I guess they knew that the bird had one of them inside of them as well, and the bird inside of Gamma also needed to be freed. Both robots explode, freeing the animals from inside, and the bird's family can finally rest. Amy pulls up and reunites the bird that she's holding with his parents, but in the middle of them flying away, the Zero robot comes out of completely fucking nowhere yet again and knocks them on the ground. This pisses Amy off, and Amy takes it into her own hand to destroy the Zero robot, which she promptly does. That being her only boss fight in this game too. This is the ending of her part of the story. Ending her story by saying she's going to make Sonic respect him, and by the time that happens, it'll be too late. And if you know, you know.
Gotcha, my darling Sonic.
Amy, what are you doing here?
Sonic, this time there's no way out of marrying me.
She wants to physically assault Sonic just so he can marry her?
Knuckles finally puts the rest of the pieces of the Master Emeralds back in his place and the island starts to float again. But not too shortly after the island starts to rise, it falls right back into the ocean floor, which should do a lot more damage than this game is trying to make it out to seem, let's be real here, but it's okay. Sonic is resting under a tree after his long couple of days, where Tails comes out of nowhere exclaiming that Angel Island has fallen once again. And Eggman starts yapping about how Chaos is up to something, but then the cutscene ends. Sonic makes his way to Angel Island to notice both of them just dead on the floor. Tikal pulls Sonic into the spirit dimension one more time to show what really happened. The story being Knuckles is the last of his tribe because his people got too greedy and they stormed the Master Emerald Shrine in an attempt to steal it. Chaos used the 7 Chaos Emeralds to transform into his true form and wiped everyone out. This rage coming from the fact that they were trampling the innocent child to steal the emeralds for nefarious means, but Tikal managed to store him and her inside of the Master Emerald with all of that rage inside of him, so when Eggman broke the emerald apart in the current day, he came out with all of that rage still upon him. While Sonic is in the spirit dimension, since there are actually people around him this time, Tails notices that Sonic just kinda clocked out right in front of everyone, and Tails is just like, bro, Chaos is going rogue and you're clocking out, what you got going on? And Sonic was just like, yeah, you're right, let's go get that emerald. So they go off to get the emerald that they think is nearby, and Chaos snags the 7th emerald, and you know what's going to happen next.
No! He's got the last emerald!
Now what do we do?
Perfect Chaos just does it. Station Square deleted. Gone. Turned to rubble in seconds. I would have had to assume Perfect Chaos just killed millions of people, or the humans of Station Square are indeed faster than Sonic, because we can clearly see that this New York looking ass city is very populated, right? But the minute the water starts coming through the sewers, everyone is fucking gone? Excuse me? Perfect Chaos has revealed himself, and Sonic noticed that to be the exact same monster he saw in the mural and when Tikal pulled him into the spirit dimension. Eggman manages to try to get the egg carrier back up and running to try to shoot down Perfect Chaos, but then Chaos just one-shots him, and it's genuinely the funniest thing I've ever seen. Everyone around them is in peril, and Tails is just like, well, he only drained the negative energy of the emeralds, and what's negative energy without positive energy? And what's Sonic made of? Nothing of pure positive energy. At least I assume. So he channels that positive energy into the Chaos Emeralds because remember, power is enriched by the heart, for him to transform into Super Sonic. And then we get Super Sonic versus Perfect Chaos, and let's be real, top 3 Sonic bosses of all time. I don't care, care. There's a reason why this boss came back in Sonic Generations. Sonic must make his way through the flooded station square using his speed to reach perfect chaos. His weak spot is at the top of his head, and he must be going fast enough to reach it to neutralize the negative energy inside of him to bring him back to normal. This is a two-phase boss fight, and you get to hear the main theme of this game, Open Your Heart, if you haven't got tired of hearing it every time you turn the game on. But after beating this fight, Sonic neutralizes the water god, and Tikal and Chaos are able to float into the afterlife, which makes no sense because Tikal has already been dead and Chaos can always come back. As far as I know, he's legit made of water. Wait, why does no one talk about? Anyway, that's the end of this grandiose adventure.
All's well that ends well, right?
Alright, I know that video was completely all over the place. I tried my best to put it in chronological order because this game has 6 playable characters, 6 playable stories, and they all overlap between each other, and it would have just been a whole bunch of rereadings if I reviewed the game that way. And I'd rather you guys tell me some points that I got wrong in the comments than to constantly say the same thing over and over, like, okay, we get it. But now that we got that out of the way, my feelings on this game are a little bittersweet. I'm not gonna lie, I love this game, don't get me wrong, but there are a whole bunch of things that just make coming back to this game I'm not gonna lie, like, do not get me wrong, there are a whole bunch of things about this game I love, but if I'm coming back to this game, it's legit to play the Sonic stages and the highlight level Speed Highway, which has low-key been done better in Generations. Shout out Adam for that Speed Highway video, go watch that if you want a deeper look into Speed Highway. But while I do have a major soft spot for this game, I do have to agree that it's aged quite poorly. Half of the game is stuff that you don't really want to do unless you're fans of that specific character. Now I can excuse Amy because, you know, Amy gets an arc in this game, and I'm a real big fan of Amy. Don't let my commentary make you think that I do not like Amy. But Amy gets an arc, and say what you want about E102 Gamma, hell, I felt the story, I felt the connection for those birds. Big merely felt like padding just to push the game time forward, and I'm not complaining about more playable characters because that's the whole reason Sonic was solo dolo for most of the 2000s. I just think they missed the mark on how these characters should have played back in the day. Granted, for the sequel, they did choose the most popular gameplay styles from this game and brought it over to Sonic Adventure 2, so they did learn from the mistakes. That just doesn't save the fact that this game isn't all that fun to come back to, at least for me, it's my opinion, so crucify me in the comment section below if you want. If you have a save file, you can play through all of the stages in time trials, but after careful consideration, at least for me, I can really only play half of this game before I get bored of it. And even then, that's me giving grace to Knuckles because I like Knuckles. I don't really want to do treasure hunting in my stages, but they're more fun than Amy, definitely more fun than E123 Omega, and way more fun than Big. I'm sorry. I personally think they did the shooting gameplay better in Adventure 2, and that might be a hot take because I often hear how people don't think the shooting gameplay in Adventure 2 isn't all that great. I'm the opposite of that. Once you get used to the shooting gameplay in Adventure 2, it's so fun. I guess it's because you actually have rankings in that game, and time attack is what makes the walker stages enjoyable for me. I can get down with the treasure hunting because Knuckles plays like Knuckles, and I can also get down with flying over half of every stages because what the hell else would I do with Tails? But what I can't get down with is fishing, running at the speed of molasses being chased by a robot. And while I admit Amy is more fun than the others, that doesn't mean I enjoy playing with her that much more. Pause, that sounds awful. That doesn't mean I enjoy playing as her that much more. Now the reason I did the story in chronological order like that, because if you played this game, you know that this game is spaced out by stories. You don't get the full experience just by playing Sonic stories, which yeah, it makes sense from a gameplay perspective, but that murders the replay value for games that are structured this way. I can really only stand playing the first 3 stories and then I'm ready to do the final boss. But the completionist in me can't do that because Amy and Big go through a stage that none of the important characters go through. And I understand, you know, they didn't go through the interior of the ship, but the exterior, because, you know, they went through Skystech, so I understand. But what bothers me is that these 3 extra characters are not optional. You need to beat every story to unlock the final story, and it just comes off as forced to me. Anyway, that's my 2 cents about this game's story. Let's get into the meat and potatoes gameplay wise. Now, I'm not too sure how this game felt on original hardware. Most people say this game controlled really well at the time, which I have no complaints about. The controls in this game are very snappy. I played this game on PC with the conversion mod, and I think there's an input mod to make the control feels at least a little more tighter, but honestly, with the mod off and the mod on, I don't really feel the difference, so don't make me sit up here and make you think that there's something there when there isn't. The controls aren't that much of a pain to me because the controls are so snappy. The characters stop on a dime, and honestly, the only person that controls like shit is Big, but that's because he's so damn slow. So when you try to turn around, he would actually just really turn around instead of flipping on a 90-degree angle, and that bothers the shit out of me, especially when you're trying to fish, because when you're holding down the action button, you can't fully 360 around you, which is just a stupid limitation. Each of the characters have their own story. You start off with Sonic and you unlock everybody as you play through Sonic's story. You unlock Tails after Sonic goes through Wave Ocean, his first action stage, and you unlock Knuckles after meeting him in the Mystic Ruins. You unlock Amy's story before you chase her through Twinkle Park, and you unlock Big and E102 Gamma when you meet them during the events going on in the Egg Carrier. No, they're not one-to-one reused cutscenes. They re-recorded lines to make it seem like the characters had their own separate adventures, especially for the main trio, but that comes with the cost of needing to fight the same bosses like an umpteenth number of times, like you've seen with the Chaos 4 fight 3 times. That is a one too many times, and I've already made my point about Sky Chase. You have to play that 4 times because there are 2 per story, 2 per Sonic, 2 per Tails, and there is nothing different between the 2. They are exactly the same. Hey, I'm low-key getting tilted. I might have to turn on centered mode, I'm not gonna lie. Sonic has the most number of stages. Obviously, it's his game. He runs through 10 of them. Emerald Hill, Windy Valley, Casinopolis, Ice Cap, Twinkle Park, Speed Highway, Red Mountain, Sky Deck, Lost World, and Final Egg. Tails only goes through 8, and I'm pretty sure it's because he spends most of his adventure with Sonic, so he goes through a good number of the stages with Sonic. But anyway, he goes through Windy Valley, Casinopolis, Ice Cap, Sand Hill, Sky Deck, and Speed Highway. Knuckles only gets 5 stages: Speed Highway, Casinopolis, Red Mountain, Lost World, and Sky Deck. Amy only has 3 stages: Twinkle Park, Hot Shelter, which the main trio don't go through like I said, and Final Egg, making her the shortest story in the game, but if you played her story, it feels like it goes on forever. Big has 4 stages. Like I said, he has more than Amy, which still bothers me. He starts in Twinkle Park, moves on to Ice Cap, Emerald Coast, and then Hot Shelter. E102 Gamma has the same amount of stages as Knuckles, a whopping 5, starting in Final Egg, going to Emerald Coast, then Windy Valley, Red Mountain, and ending up in Hot Shelter. Beating them all unlocks the Supersonic ending, and you play as Sonic to activate a couple of cutscenes, and then you get to play the boss fight. The stages in this game are out of this world. The developers get to have so much more freedom developing more open stages, so secrets are abundant and shortcuts are everywhere. When I come back to this game, my favorite part about playing it is just seeing how fast I can beat it, speedrun type of thing. But this time I actually just decided to speedrun it somewhat normally just to see how fast I can beat it. But I believe there was one part in Sonic's story where I just skipped over the entirety of the 3rd act of Sky Deck with one good spin dash jump, and it might have been level design like that made them nerf the spin dash in games moving forward, but I don't know, it made stages like this exceptionally more fun to me. Like, imagine if this was as linear as Sonic Adventure 2. Imagine spin dash spamming down the beginning parts of Cindy Escape. Hell no. The issue with Tails is that a good amount of his level design, he can just fly over everything, and I know I said if I was Tails this is how I would deal with everything, but the issue comes with Tails being plopped in Sonic stages. These stages were not built for Tails. They were obviously built for Sonic. So when you put a character who can fly in stages that's built for someone who needs to be on the ground, yeah, I don't think they thought this through. I mean, a part of me thinks they did. If you get too far from Sonic rubber bands behind you like shit, so it's not like the CPUs get that far behind. Granted, they do have to unload the stage when you get too far, and if Sonic gets unloaded, they're gonna load him back where he needs to be. But it's just like, why not make different stages? I understand that it's an adventure and they all went through the same areas, but like for Tails, I feel like they could have at least gave the beta Windy Valley for him, so it's not like you just fly over everything. I don't know, I feel like they just could have put a little bit more work into Tails before shipping the game, but knowing Sega and Sonic Team, there was probably some deadlines that they had to fix. So moving on, Knuckles has to deal with treasure hunting, and we all know what that is. We have to find 3 pieces of the Master Emerald, and while I think his gameplay design peaked here because in Sonic Adventure 2 they tried to make it artificially difficult, there are still those times where you're just looking for the emeralds and you're just like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Luckily this game does not have a ranking system because yeah, remember this? Yeah, she'll just take you straight to the emerald piece, so if you feel no shame in doing that, just do that. Amy plays more like her blue counterpart, except she is slow as hell and she is always being chased by a big robot for the majority of her stages. She can use the hammer to ward off the robot, say it gets too close, but for the most part, if you're good at the game, the robot shouldn't come anywhere near you. But in a perfect world, because Amy doesn't even have the spin dump, I wish you the best, my fellow game. I just wish you the best, my fellow gamer. E102 Gamba. For his special move, they gave him a gun. What I like about him the most is that they treat him like a time trial for most of his stages. And the only way to get time back is if you defeat enemies, basically encouraging you to shoot down enemies instead of just walking straight past. But that comes with a downside, being since you can just lock onto a whole bunch of enemies at once you've locked onto a group of like 3 or so enemies, you've already added a whole bunch of time to your timer, and most of Gamma's stages are extremely short, so I don't really think they thought this through. Big the Cat, we've already explained what's going on with him while we were going on in his story, so let's move on. Sonic Adventure has a plethora of extra modes and secrets to keep you coming back. As mentioned, there are time trials allowing for replaying the stages in a more convenient way that isn't just running around the 3 adventure fields, which I wouldn't call a staple of the Sonic series, but he's known for some rather memorable ones, depending on who you ask. I know there's some people who hate these, but for a 100% playthrough, you're gonna have to search every nook and cranny for these emblems. If you haven't noticed them by now, after every action stage, you receive an emblem per completion, and while there are a total of 130 emblems, you'll only get about a third of that from just beating the game. Plus, every character has 3 missions per act, upping the replay value, I guess. Your other emblems will come from the 3 adventure fields, and this game's mission mode, which, I'll be honest, I didn't even touch. The only thing you unlock is Metal Sonic as a playable character, and is that worth doing the Chris mission? I spoke on the level design earlier in this video, and to this day I still think it's some of the best the franchise has ever offered. Everything is just so damn open and you can explore to your heart's content. Even some of the linear stages, depending on who you're playing as, you can go damn near anywhere you want. Now a poor example will be something like Tails' Windy Valley, because you can legit just fly to the Chaos Emerald, effectively cutting Tails' stage list from 8 to 7. Hell, 6 if you don't count the sandboarding stage, but considering we've never gotten open stage level design like this ever again, not even in a game like Sonic 06, and at least knowing that I don't have to play the 3rd act of Sonic Skydeck normally is one of God's hitting blessings, let's be real here. Sonic Adventure, while not aging as well as its younger brother, it has its reasons to warrant a full playthrough from time to time because of how it introduced Sonic to the 3D world. Yes, the game has its flaws as stated. Half of the game is plagued by characters I'd rather not play, but I won't lie and say I don't want them here. These have been established characters at this point, and the constant, although warranted, negativity for these characters and gameplay styles ultimately paved the road for a very dark future in the up and coming years for this blue rodent. I can confidently say Sonic Adventure is a really good game. Not my favorite Sonic game, but one I definitely hold really close to my heart. I 100% recommend this game if you somehow never played this game before. It's not on any modern consoles other than the Xbox because Microsoft has backwards compatibility for them systems and we still can't get that from Sony for some reason. So if you don't have a PC to play one of the various PC versions or emulating it via Dolphin, you have to buy an Xbox to experience this game, or go out of your way to buy a Dreamcast, and well, good fucking luck. Hopefully with GameCube games coming to Nintendo Switch Online with the Switch 2, a lot more people can give this game a shot, assuming the game is a part of the service and we can actually afford the damn thing. That's all I have to say about this game, and I'm sorry this video took so long. I'm still not used to having an audience, but I had to get this video out. I have a voice in this community and that's still really insane to me, so with great power comes great responsibility, I guess. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on Sonic Adventure. Tell me what I missed, tell me what I did wrong, tell me what else you guys would like to see from me. Like I said, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, stay tuned for more videos. My next couple of videos are going to be smaller in scale because if I keep just trying to pump out big videos like this, I'm never gonna have a consistent upload schedule. So yeah, my next couple of videos are gonna be pretty small while I work on my next big Sonic video, which, since we're going in order, it's going to be Sonic Adventure 2. So I'll see you guys there. Quick question before I end this video. Would you guys want me to make a Discord? The only reason why I haven't made one yet is because I quite frankly don't know anything about making a Discord server, but if the demand is there, I'll definitely get one set up so you guys can hang out and see what we got going on. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Take care.
Hey, I'll play with you some other time.